We just took training together earlier this month, and we think it's just as important to be lifelong learners, so thanks.
Yeah. And next up, I'm going to call up our Director of Curriculum Instruction and Assessment, Jessica Shipman, who's going to talk to you about the Return to In-Person Instruction Continuity of Services Plan.
Good evening. So I just have a brief update for this plan. So under the American Rescue Plan, Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief 3 funds, also known as ESSER 3, it's a requirement for all school districts every 6 months to update and refine their return to learn plan and their continuity of services plan. So we've been doing this for the past couple of years, I think right out of the gate post-COVID. At this time, we have no updates. There are no changes in our mode of instruction. It all remains the same, so that's that. And this is our last official report for ESSER 3.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Board members have that in front of them. All right. Hearing of the public. Wyandotte Public Schools Board of Education welcomes public discourse. Now is the portion of the meeting where the public may address the board. Those who wish to speak should approach the podium, state their name, and address the board. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per person. Members of the board and district employees will not answer questions during public commentary. Is there anyone wishing to address the board at this time? All right, seeing none, we will close that portion of the meeting and move on to the action agenda. And this is a fun one for us here. Lots of back-to-school business. Dr. Anderson, take it away.
This is exciting stuff. We have the class of 2024 in our new teacher class. So, teacher hires. Due to retirements and transfers, we need to hire teachers for the 2024-2025 school year. After following appropriate personnel protocol and completing team interviews, the Director of Human Resources and I recommend probationary teaching contracts be awarded to Autumn Amos at Monroe, Tia Mitchell at Monroe, Shannon Stacy at Washington, Sabrina Gurney at Washington, Sarah Prager at Washington, Christina Callaway at Garfield, Whitney Allmiller at Garfield, Christopher Borilski at Wilson, Molly Rositano at Wilson, Sarah Gleason at Roosevelt, Morgan Fowler at Roosevelt.
Oh.
Did I skip a line?
Yeah, Sarah's at Wilson.
At Wilson.
Go up.
My bifocals are deceiving me here. I'm sorry. Sarah Gleason at Wilson, Chance Persondek at Wilson, Courtney Pusta at Wilson, Jacob Mell at Roosevelt, Alex Wisniewski at Roosevelt, Morgan Fowler at Roosevelt, Shasta Panza at Roosevelt, David Michael Haney at Roosevelt, McKenna Shell at Roosevelt, Eric Gray at the Lincoln Center, Joshua Davenport at the Lincoln Center, and Catherine Chakowski at Madison, effective for the 2024-2025 school year.
Okay, may I have a motion, please? And hold on, we're going to do it all over again.
All right, and I apologize up front if I mess up anyone's name. It's not on purpose, and I am truly sorry. I move approval of probationary teaching contracts be awarded to Autumn Amos, Tia Mitchell, Shannon Stacy, Sabrina Gurney, Sarah Prager, Christina Callaway, Whitney Allmiller, Christopher Borilski, Molly Rositano, Sarah Gleason, Chance Persondek, Courtney Pusta, Jacob Mell, Alex Wisniewski, Morgan Fowler, Shasta Panza, David Michael Haney, McKenna Shell, Eric Gray, Joshua Davenport, and Catherine Chakowski, effective for the 2024-25 school year.
Support.
All right, is there any discussion?
Way to go, Dana.
I've been practicing.
Exciting. All right, then let's vote, and then we will say hello to some of our new staff members. Roll call, please.
Member Browning?
Yes.
Member Kane?
Yes.
Member Kinney?
Yes.
Member Lo Cicero?
Yes.
Member Martinez?
Yes.
Member Weber?
Yes.
President Circovich?
Yes, welcome home. All right,
All
Dr.
right.
Anderson.
This time, I would like to invite up our Director of Human Resources, Ms. Tanya Brody, who will do some quick introductions of those who are here.
Yes, good evening. I know we have a couple more actions with some staff, but we can do it all at one time. So this is my sixth class of teachers introducing to you. So we have 23 new hires that consist of a social worker, an occupational therapist, a multilingual language learner teacher, 7 elementary teachers, 4 middle school, including our resource room teachers, 3 at the high school, and 6 center-based. And we're not done, but there's a few more. But some of them are here, about a quarter of the 23 are here tonight to introduce and say hello to you. We're also planning a board reception on September 10th prior to the work session from 6 to 6:30, so hopefully a little more informal setting, and they can actually chat with you, and by then they'll have some days at Wyandotte under their belt to tell you about. They will be attending their new teacher orientation all day on August 27th, so a week from today. And I also wanted to say the board reception does back up to the Wilson's back to school night. So hopefully parents will just kind of excuse, there will be 4 teachers that might have a sign on their door. They're rushing from one event to the next. So they will be there to see you a little later in the night. We are still hiring for an adaptive PE teacher. I have to put my little marketing calls out there. We need 3 to 4 ASD teachers, a school psychologist, and multiple parapros at our center-based programs. And lunch aides are also needed in our building, so if there's a parent that would like to get a couple hours of work in while their student's at school, you can see your building administrator and just to see what the need is, and they can get you started on the application process. So with that, I'll invite the handful of teachers who are here tonight just to say a quick hello and introduce themselves. So come on up.
Hello, I'm Sarah Gleason.
Hi, I'm Molly Rossitano. I'll be at Wilson.
I'm McKenna Shell.
Hi, I'm Chris Borelski at Wilson. Hello, I'm Joshua Davenport at the Lincoln Center.
I'm Alex Wisniewski, and I'll be at Roseville.
Hi, I'm Courtney Pusta, and I'm at Wilson.
Yay. Welcome.
Welcome to Wyandotte. We're going to do 2 more agenda items, and then we'll let everybody kind of move on with their night. Social worker and occupational therapist. Due to an increased caseload and transfer, we need to hire a social worker at Joe Brighton and an occupational therapist at the Lincoln Center. After following appropriate personnel protocol and completing team interviews, the Director of Human Resources and I recommend probationary professional contracts be awarded to Haley Cristo at Joe Brighton and Ashley Lawyer, effective for the 2024-2025 school year.
I move approval of probationary professional contracts be awarded to Haley Crisco and Ashley Lawyer, effective for the 24-25 school year.
Support.
Any discussion? All right, roll call vote, please.
Member Kane?
Yes.
Member Kinney?
Yes.
Member Lo Cicero?
Yes.
Member Martinez?
Yes.
Member Weber?
Yes.
Member Browning?
Yes.
President Circovich?
Yes, motion carries.
All right, I don't think either one of them are here, but we'll meet them in September unless, are either of those are 2 new hires there? Okay. Grant coordinator. Due to increasing amounts of grants available, we need to hire a grant coordinator. After following appropriate personnel protocol and completing team interviews, the Director of Human Resources and I recommend a work agreement be awarded to Amanda Amodio as the new grant coordinator effective August 5th, 2024.
I move a work agreement be awarded to Amanda Amodio as the grant coordinator, effective August 5th, 2024.
Support.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Member Kinney?
Yes.
Member Lo Cicero?
Yes.
Member Martinez?
Yes.
Member Weber?
Yes.
Member Browning?
Yes.
Member Kane?
Yes.
President Circovich?
Yes, motion carries.
All right, well, I usually use my excuse that they have to prep for the school day tomorrow, but now I'm going to use the excuse that they have to enjoy the little bit of summer that's left before we put them back to work. So at this point, I will allow our guests who came today, well, not guests, new employees, to exit, and there's a great ice cream shop right down around the corner here. So if you're not familiar with Wyandotte, I would say go check it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Okay. All right.
Yep, central office.
Central office contracts. At this time of year, we approve central office non-bargaining contracts. The following employees: Bernie Bowers, Director of Operations; Tanya Brody, Director of Human Resources; Brandy Nusser, Director of Finance, Cindy Taylor, Director of Special Education and Student Services, Jessica Shipman, Director of Curriculum and Student Achievement, Justin Ellsworth, Director of Technology, George Purdue, Director of Media Services, Sterling McLean, Operations Supervisor, Rebecca Bearden, Administrative Assistant to the Superintendent, Sharina Yakovich, Head Bookkeeper, Elizabeth Kuronsky, Administrative Assistant to the Human Resources Director. Have been evaluated and have done an excellent job. I recommend an extension for the 2024-2025 school year with a salary schedule as presented.
May I have a motion, please?
Sure, let's try it. I move Bernie Bowers, Tanya Brody, Brandy Nusser, Cindy Taylor, Jessica Shipman, Justin Ellsworth, George Purdue, Sterling McLean, Rebecca Bearden,
Sharina, yep.
Sharina
Yep.
Yakovich, and Elizabeth Kuronsky receive an extension to their central office administrative contracts as presented through the 24-25 school year.
Support.
Okay. Any discussion? All these were included?
I have a few concerns.
All right, it's discussion.
I asked Jim where our fund balance would be after these. It's going to be at 10.5,
Okay.
and we still have another position to approve, which I'm sure will be unanimous. My biggest concern is this, is I've been on the board for 10 years, and it's never been this low. It's been way past 10 years that it was not this low. So with us not getting more per pupil funding that the state has taken away, and we don't know if we're ever going to get it back, because when does the state ever give something back that they take away? And I know we're getting MIPSTER money. That is a one-time fee. We don't know much we're getting. And they can, up until September 30th at 11:59, decide not to give us nothing. That's what the government's allowed to do. That's happened to Wyandotte in the past when my son was in school. So I remember that. I did attend some of those meetings. So I'm just really concerned, not that I don't want people to get a raise, but I'm worried that if we get down past 10%, we're going to start talking what cuts we may have to make if something happens. And that's the reality. I'm not being a crying wolf. It's a reality what will happen. I don't want to see the teachers not be able to have their coffee pots in the refrigerators like they were told when my son was in high school, that they couldn't have their, and I'm sure Kathy remembers those days. I don't want to see that happen again. I just want to be sure that we're stable, but I'm just extremely worried about the money. I mean, anything can happen if we don't have, and I know a lot of you are inexperienced. Kelly, you know about money. This is not a joke. This could
Okay,
really
I
happen.
mean, I don't think it's true. I mean, is that the bulk of your point? I want some other board members to maybe
Yeah,
weigh
yeah.
in. Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody else want to jump in on this?
Well, I do know that, I believe it was in 2016, we were below 10%.
I actually have the schedule of, here, we got this from Brandy, not that long ago. If we go back to 2016, it was at 9.6%. In 2015, it was 10.8%. In 2014, it was flat 11. After that, it was in the mid-teens. And then of course, we have some COVID time. But yeah, you're right, Kathy. 2016 is at 9.6%. I can, yeah, so it has.
It is low. I mean, it definitely is. And I do share concerns with Cindy. You know, I mean, I'd like to see how things go. Obviously, I'm very inexperienced in this area. But yeah, I mean, it's scary. And I know that Kathy probably remembers that as Cindy mentioned.
She was a teacher.
Well,
Right.
I remember years that were way worse than that.
Well, yeah, that's.
Yeah, this only goes back to 20,
Yeah.
I only have
That
the
is true.
schedule from 2014.
Yeah.
So just for people who might be watching, it is our stated board policy that we keep the fund balance at 10%. So we're at currently 10.5. So we're not in violation of our own policy at this moment. And the state kind of has a minimum of, 5% before they start asking questions. But other board members, I want to hear from other people as well. I jumped in because I had some data.
So I had talked to Jim when we were first looking at these proposals. I completely understand why we want to do some of the salary increases that we're doing. We want to secure people that have been on our staff that are experienced and that have done a great job. And there is concern that there is other districts that are hiring at higher rates, that we don't want to lose anyone, and then have to hire someone in less experience and lose that productivity. I did ask what remedies we have in regards to the fund balance. I think there's some incentives in place for teachers and administrators to work towards keeping the fund balance above 10% or more. So I think there's things that we need to do as a district and as our staff to be aware of that and working towards that, because we don't want to go behind that 10%. So I do feel like our staff has to, we're all working in this together. We want our school district to all be successful, so.
I agree with Wendy. It's a full district, full staff.
Right.
I want it to stay that way.
It's got to be everybody that works towards that. So.
Okay. Other board members who haven't had a chance to speak?
I just think with retaining the talent that we have, that I understand the concern. I do understand. But I think that just means that we need to be, extra vigilant. We need to really push for a district-wide, incentive to maintain above 10 and obviously higher. But I think I think that what we're proposing here is essential just to keep the talent that we have.
Okay.
Yeah, I think everyone that is mentioned here, they give us the best. They give us the best. And we always talk about retention. And if we lose somebody because we don't do what we need to do for them, we're just going to hire somebody else, and then they have to learn everything all over again. And who's to say that we wouldn't end up having to offer them more?
Right.
Right?
Yeah, that's always it. Yep. Dana, I haven't heard your voice yet in the conversation.
I have an encyclopedia of thoughts going on up here, so I'll try to give you the Reader's Digest version of it.
Thank you.
I'm requesting a work session. I think we need a work session. We have a lot of inexperienced positions on Oak Street and in this horseshoe. And I've had a very long talk with Dr. Anderson. I thought it was very productive. He may not have thought so. I think so. And I believe that we need to be working together more. We need to be listening to each other's voices. We need to hear each other's thoughts. I've had this same conversation with the board president. Yes, 8 years ago in 2016, we might have dipped below 10, but that was 8 years ago. We've come a long way, baby, and I don't think we need to go back to dipping down underneath 10. I believe that, yes, this group of names give us a lot for what they're getting. They go over and beyond the call of duty, but at the same time, we need to make sure that we are preparing to give them our best. And I don't think right now we're preparing for anything down the future. I'm not a live today type of person at home. I have a savings account for my roof and my cars and whatever else. And I believe you need to have the exact same thing for your schools. And we should not be thinking about what the budget looks like today. We should be thinking about what that budget's going to look like 3 years down the road. And I don't want to hear, well, we don't know what the state's going to do. That's right, we don't. So we have to depend on us, not them. We have to make good decisions for our employees and for our students. So, and I believe the way to start that is with a work session and have Dr. Anderson come forward and give us some of his ideas on where he thinks we need to go. And as far as the coffee pot and the refrigerators and all that goes, you are stumbling over dollars to pick up pennies with that way of thinking, in my opinion. And I'm not interested in hearing it. I don't want to hear it. Let's go in a different direction. We can add to that. But let's think bigger and broader. We can do this. We're intelligent people. We can do this. We have a great leader. We need to hear from him. We need to be listening to what he's saying, and we need to communicate with each other and let him hear what we're saying to each other. Let's run with this and let's see where it's going to go and what his ideas are. But you don't live for today. We're going to live for 3 years from now.
And we don't want to have teacher out-of-pocket cost either.
Thank you.
Because that's
No, we
where
do
it's
not.
going. And there's,
Exactly.
and I can say, social media, there's a lot of teachers in other districts asking for donations, asking for money, and that's scary. And I don't want to see that happen. We're not that kind of district.
Oh, we're not. We're better than that.
I just want to also point out that the 10% is our own set goal. So just for, like, Dr. Anderson and his team's preparation, do you want to discuss not having, do you think 10% is too low to keep as our board balance? I mean, what are you saying I want to hear about, like, cost savings, like, recommendations? What kind of specifically are you interested in?
I want to know what we're going to do as a board to keep that above 10. I don't think we should be dipping, personally. That's my personal opinion.
Well, yeah, it's our policy.
But we need, why would we break our own policy?
I don't think anyone's suggesting
Right.
that
Right.
We're not
we
breaking
are,
the
Okay, but
right?
if we are at, Carrie, if we're at 10.57, how long do you think it's going to take us before we dip below that? 0.57% of our budget, and we're there.
I understand that.
Let's work towards making that higher. Let's start today, so we're not making it difficult on our staff, we're not making it difficult on our leader, we're not making it difficult on ourselves and our community. Let's start planning now for the future. Let's not wait till it's upon us in April or May to start worrying about let's start now. We have nothing more than time. When we said that we were running for school board and we decided to put our name on that ballot, we should be dedicating every Tuesday to this district to get the work done however we need to do it. So if we need more meetings, pour it on it. We have a whole calendar full of Tuesdays that we can start working on. Let's get it done. Let's get ahead of it.
So question, what percentage, if we weren't to go forward, or I guess if we do go forward with this proposal, what percentage how much would we drop?
We would be about 1.17. So it would be, if we didn't do this, you'd be at like 10.67
10.67?
instead of 10.55.
Instead of 10.55.
Yeah.
By 5, okay.
If I could, I would like to just, I understand the concerns. I share them. And as a new superintendent in the district, I do not want to be responsible for a financial crisis. There are pieces that my team is already putting into place, and there are areas where we can make adjustments. And one of them is the grants coordinator. The grant coordinator is going to allow us the ability to take things that we need, and instead of taking them out of our general fund, putting them into grants. That's actual savings that holds on to our general fund. We already have a plan to repurpose portions of the enhancement millage. So, Dana, I spoke to you about this in our conversation. So, while it was a kind of a clean way, it was kind of that the enhancement millage would go towards technology and the sinking fund would go towards building enhancements. Life is never as simple as two big pots like that. And so Justin Ellsworth, our Director of Technology, has worked hard to take a look at where we are, and we're not in a crisis situation with our technology. And so we don't need to spend a full $1.5 million on technology needs every year. Be nice if you could, but we don't need to, and nor should we. And so offsetting $250,000 of that towards athletics, which right now, I know we understand, we're a district that is very blessed to not have a pay-to-play type situation for our constituents. Yet that area needs some support. That comes out of the general fund. And so if we move $250,000 of that over to the enhancement, out of the enhancement millage from technology to athletics, that means that that's $250,000. That's a 0.5% right there. Now we're back up over 11. And so online learning is another area that we looked at just recently, and we noticed that we were paying overages in our online learning. And while I understand that some of our families prefer that method of instruction, we are a public school district, and our return learn plan shows you we are an in-person district. And so we've got to take some look and make some cuts in that area. And we've got to, there are other options, unfortunately, but we'd rather they came back to us at our schools. We also use online learning for a lot of our credit recovery. And we've got to take a look at our practices in the building so that we can reduce what we're paying outside companies to allow a student to get credit when they didn't pass the class sitting in the classroom with the teacher. And so, we need to take a look at what can we be doing while that student is in that process of that classroom. What can we be doing to offer more support so that they don't fail in the first place? Because then we don't have to pay anything.
Right.
Curbing overtime spending is something that Bernie Bowers has worked really hard on, is that we've been paying overtime to certain people, and that's costly. It's time and a half or double time. The energy savings, I won't go into it because I know it's a little of a touchy subject, but it is a part of the overall pot. It does add up. Repurposing furniture rather than buying everything new. We have another bond payment that's coming off. That's a whole percentage point in itself. And so, like, as you look at these things, yeah, we're at 10.5, but we don't intend to go any lower. We intend, it's a turnaround. All of our, after our work today, I believe our contracts are very, very close to being all done. And there's other things. There's printing costs across our buildings. And it doesn't sound like a lot when you print one thing in color, but if you're printing things in color through the whole year, it was $40,000 in overages that we spent in printing in color when we should have been printing in black and white. That's significant. And then our biggest area is going to be retirements. And we have created a contract for our teachers that gives our teachers over the next 3 years opportunities to get the most that they can out of their decision to retire. But for every retirement, we're going to save anywhere from $60,000 to $100,000. And so you take 6 of those, you got another full percentage point. So those are all areas that we are taking a very close look at the budget. We are not comfortable with where we are. We do not want to dip below board policy. So, and we also have, and to Brandy's credit, she's a very conservative budgeter. So she's going to take the worst case scenarios and put those into our numbers. So that 10.55 is planning for the worst. So, I feel confident, very confident in my team. As I've shared with all of you in my individual conversations, I am only as good as my team. These are the people that I work with throughout the year in a 12-month capacity. They are the ones that we are meeting with together weekly. They are meeting with each other and with me daily to move this district forward. And so I stand behind what we've presented to you very strongly. I believe that they need to be fairly compensated. To Carrie and Wendy's points, we lose an employee. I'm looking at 6 months minimum of turmoil to figure out, to get back on track. Our neighbor to the west, recently hired a finance director at $27,000 more a year than we pay ours. So those are real threats to our ability to be able to move forward. Can we find somebody else after time? But in some of my conversations with our superintendents, they're going through the same struggles. They're trying to stay competitive so that people aren't poaching our most talented people. And that's our teachers, that's our parapro, everybody's getting, like, other districts are happy to grab the great people that we have in this district. Absolutely. It goes from top to bottom. So, like I said, that's why I presented the contracts to you that I have, because it's also an alignment system, that the teacher contract has a trigger in it, that if we hit 20% fund balance by the 3rd year, there is an incentive for them and their salaries. So that means that every teacher is now a part of our team on working on saving money. Our building administrator contracts are tied to that because their salaries are based off of a percentage of teachers. I'm following the same model with these cabinet contracts. Again, so everybody wants the teachers to do well, and the teachers do better when we grow that fund balance. So, yes, the state's going to be a wild card, but we're also advocating heavily as a superintendent's group, MASB as board members, the MEA, the other groups are all working in Lansing to make sure that our legislators understand that we have to be funded. So with that, I leave it to you to decide. But we're going to make this happen. And we're going to make the fund balance go up. That's the part we're going to make happen.
I appreciate you giving all those examples because we did talk about those. And I look forward to hearing more about each and every one of them at our work session so we can all work together and hear exactly what your plan is.
Okay, any other discussion? I haven't really shared my voice. I just want to point out that, as part of our custodial duty to the constituents that we serve, part of that is making sure that they have the best people that are available to teach their kids and to run the district. And, we have slightly different philosophies about, how much of a fund balance or how comfortable we are close to it. But, I think the taxpayer money comes in and I'm fairly comfortable having it go right back out as long as we're in line with our own board policy. There's going to be times in my own home budget, just like you said, where we get a little closer to the line, right? It's my husband calls it the bleeding season right now, right? Taxes are due, tuition is due, our house insurance is due. It all comes up due in September for us. So there are times when that happens, but then, you talk about it, you course correct, you say, okay, let's see what we can do in the next little bit going forward, and it'll bounce back. So I will work with the superintendent on the agenda items for those. Our 27th agenda in August is pretty packed. I will just let you know, we have Bernie's tours that day. We already have a previously requested topic of student growth and achievement on, and we have, I can't remember if there's a third thing on there, so, a fourth thing on in addition to Bernie's building. So it may be a September topic because August is somewhat planned already, but we will take a look at it. We meet every week to talk about the agenda. Okay, we have not taken a vote on this yet, so I just want to go back to calling the question on the work agreements for the 10 or 11 folks that were stated is what's on the floor. Yes.
I would just like to say I appreciate Jim sharing all of that, not with just us, but with the community, because I'm sure that there would be other people that would have the same questions that were brought up. So I just appreciate that he shared that with us.
That's good information. Okay, so the question before us is approving the contracts as presented. We're good for roll call? Roll call vote, please.
Member Lo Cicero?
Yes.
Member Martinez?
Yes.
Member Weber?
Yes.
Member Browning?
Yes.
Member Kane?
Yes.
Member Kinney?
No.
President Circovich?
Yes, motion carries. All right. We're on 5 on action
Yep.
agenda. Okay.
All right. 2024-2025 professional development contract achieves SEL behavior and classroom management series. The Director of Curriculum and Instruction and I recommend approval of professional development and consulting contract with Project Achieve for the 2024-2025 school year for $37,500 to be paid not out of general fund, but using Section 31AA funds, which is grant funding.
I move approval of a one-year consulting contract with Project Achieve for the 24-25 school year for $37,500 to be paid using Section 31AA funds.
Support.
Discussion. This was included in your packet. All right, any more discussion? Roll call, please.
Member Martinez?
Yes.
Member Weber?
Yes.
Member Browning?
Yes.
Member Kane?
Yes.
Member Kinney?
Yes.
Member Lo Cicero?
Yes.
President Circovich?
Yes, motion carries.
Okay. Addition of a school resource officer. Discussions have been held with both the Wyandotte Police Chief and Deputy Police Chief in order to hire an additional SRO, Student Resource Officer. The goal is to have this process completed by the start of the school year and be of service to our 4 elementary schools and center-based programs. It has been previously agreed that the school district would pay 75% of the officer's salary and benefits for a total of approximately $80,000 for the 2024-2025 school year for this position. In entering this agreement, the district will continue to partner with the Wyandotte Police Department under the original agreement, which is for a commitment of 12 years through the 2034-2035 school year, with the contract being renewed annually to account for any salary and/or benefit change. Pending approval of this motion, a formal contract will be written and updated then approved by the Board of Education and City Council at a future meeting.
I move Wyandotte Public Schools add one additional SRO to the existing contract. This contract will be reviewed annually by the city and the district to reflect any changes. Funds for these positions will be taken out of the general fund.
Support.
Okay, discussion. We did talk about this at a work session back in the spring. Dr. Anderson, we've been through the process, many of us that were on the board when this originally was added.
Did this 4 years ago.
But we talked about extending it, but we were waiting for the police department to finish their summer hiring and for the chief to get his ducks in a row and his fully staffed. So discussion is open on the floor for this if anyone has a comment or.
I'm just so excited to be able to read that. I'm sorry, Wendy, I cut you off, but this has been a plan for so long, and now the last part is finally coming together, and I am so excited for our district to have 3. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, you kind of answered my question. I was just confirming this would be a third officer, so we would have one at Roosevelt, Wilson, and then this one would be shared amongst the elementaries and the centers.
Yeah. And in talking to the chief, he said that we can utilize that schedule any way we wish. So I'll be working with the elementary and center-based programs to find the best. Is it one day at each building a week? Is it, a week at a time? They're going to be available at any time to drive over, but obviously the officer can only be in one place at one time. So we want to make sure we're increasing our exposure to our young people with our police officers in a positive manner. And a lot of teaching in this position.
Cool, good.
Awesome.
Anybody else have anything?
No.
All right, roll call, please.
Member Weber?
Yes.
Member Browning?
Absolutely, yes.
Member Kane?
Yes.
Member Kinney?
Absolutely, yes.
Member Lo Cicero?
Yes.
Member Martinez?
Yes.
President Circovich?
Yes, motion carries.
Woo-hoo!
I know you're excited about that as part of,
That was-
as part of your kind
was-
of legacy on that.
Absolutely. I was so excited about that.
Good, I'm very glad. All right, 7.
All right, 2024-2025 outside contracted coaching services. The Institute for Excellence in Education has done an outstanding job providing coaching services for our elementary through high school ELA and math teachers. The Director of Curriculum and Instruction and I recommend approving a 1-year contract extension with the Institute for Excellence in Education through the 2024-2025 school year at $55,000, with funds, again, not from general fund, but being allocated from the 31A at-risk funding.
I move approval of a 1-year contract extension with Excellence in Education to provide coaching services for our elementary through high school academic teachers in the amount of $55,000 for the 2024-25 school year, with funds being allocated from the 31A at-risk funds.
Support.
Any discussion? I just want to bring up that this was one of the funds that was, kind of took a hit in the Michigan budget. And so between the two of these that we approved, one just a few minutes ago for classroom management and behavior management, and this, that's almost $90,000. So, I mean.
If you don't mind, I'd like to invite.
Can I ask?
Yep.
Great, thanks.
Ms. Shipman up?
Some clarification on that?
Yeah. So the IE contract is coming out of 31A. The state didn't cut and reduce any of those funds. We are actually anticipating, Brandy and I, about 250,000 additional in funding in that source for this upcoming school year. On top of that, the 31AA funding, that's the one that I think probably every organization and group in the state was up in arms about. Absolutely. The state cut that funding, and it's specific to school safety and mental health. So the fact that that was the first cut out of the budget was kind of surprising. However, they've guaranteed, like any district that applied for the 31AA grant for the 2024 fiscal year, you have that funding. It runs out, it lives all the way until September 30th of 2025. It's beyond that they cut that funding. So our $1 million that, through that grant we were approved for, we have that funding all throughout this year through next summer up until September. Additionally, on a positive note, just yesterday, we received a memo from MDE that they are doing a bill, they're moving forward with kind of refunding that program. So we're kind of hopeful that they actually do open it back up. But I think with this idea of just being fiscally responsible, it trickles into our grants. And this is one of those, like you notice the IE contract, it went from well over 100,000 to, okay, how can we survive, and almost what's the minimum for this that's going to be supportive for our students and still and our staff. So that's kind of how we went about some of these contracts this year, knowing the grant funding, the longevity in it, and sustainability, and that's what it is.
Thank you, I appreciate that. I know it's only
Thank you.
the 1 year, so that I know we're okay for this year, but I appreciate the clarity on that. And I hope that they do
Yeah,
reconsider
fingers
that.
crossed, because
was
hopefully the AA funding continues.
They heard from a lot of us on that. That was a
They
very
did.
poor choice of things to whack at, for sure. Okay, we need to take a roll call vote on this, please.
Member Browning?
Yes.
Member Kane?
Yes.
Member Kinney?
Yes.
Member Lo Cicero?
Yes.
Member Martinez?
Yes.
Member Weber?
Yes.
President Circovich?
Yes, motion carries. All right, Board of Education MASB delegates. The Michigan Association of School Boards 2024 Annual Fall Conference will be held in Lansing, October 24th through the 27th, 2024. The delegate assembly will convene on Thursday, October 24th at 7 p.m. to determine bylaw revisions and other matters of importance. 3 board members can be selected as voting delegates. Alternates can also be seated.
Select.
Yeah, so may I have a motion, please?
I move that board members Kathy Kane, Wendy LaCicero, Teresa Circovich be designated MASB 2024 voting delegates, and that Carrie Martinez be named an alternate to the voting delegates.
Support.
Any discussion?
I apologize, I'll be in Florida that week.
That is quite all right.
so
And
sorry.
Everyone's.
Oh, you're real sorry about that.
I'm really not. You didn't seem that sorry, to be honest with you. Probably nicer than Lansing in October, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But Carrie, we did add you as an alternate just because if you're attending, you may.
I might make it there
You
in
might,
time
you might.
Thursday night, yeah.
Okay,
I might make
alternate
it
is
there.
good, though.
Yeah.
Okay, roll call, please.
Member Kane?
Yes.
Member Kinney?
Yes.
Member Lo Cicero?
Yes.
Member Martinez?
Yes.
Member Weber?
Yes.
Member Browning?
Yes.
President Circovich?
Yes, motion carries. Members, if you haven't gotten your class selections into Mrs. Bearden, do take a look at what they have offered, because those do tend to fill up. All right, retirements, Dr. Anderson.
Retirements. Ruthia Taylor, paraprofessional at the Early Childhood Center, retired on June 30th of 2024 after 11 years of service. Lyle Gold, grounds and utility worker, retired on July 31st, 2024 after 19 years of service. And Laura Grip, teacher at Washington, will retire on September 5th after 25 years of service.
I move acceptance of the resignations for the purpose of retirement of Ruthia Taylor, Lyle Gold, and Laura Grip, and thank them for their many years of dedicated service to the children of Wyandotte and Wayne County, and wish them well in their retirement years.
Support.
Any discussion?
No.
All right, these folks hopefully will enjoy a prosperous and exciting retirement. Let's take a roll call, Mrs. Bearden.
Member Kinney?
Yes.
Member Lo Cicero?
Yes.
Member Martinez?
Yes.
Member Weber?
Yes.
Member Browning?
Yes.
Member Kane?
Yes.
President Circovich?
Yes, motion carries.
All right, last agenda item from the action agenda is a leave of absence. Jessica Keller, teacher at the Lincoln Center, has requested an extension to her current approved childcare leave of absence. Her request is covered under Article 21, Section 4 of the WEA Master Agreement.
I recommend approval of an extension to the leave of absence for Jessica Keller for the 24-25 school year.
Support.
Okay, that memo was included in your packet. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Member Lo Cicero?
Yes.
Member Martinez?
Yes.
Member Weber?
Yes.
Member Browning?
Yes.
Member Kane?
Yes.
Member Kinney?
Yes.
President Circovich?
Yes, motion carries. All right, we're on to the consent agenda. Because items on the consent agenda are routine, there is little need for discussion. One motion can complete this part of the agenda. If you're interested in copies of reports, recommendations, or information, please contact the superintendent's office at 6002. May I have a motion, please?
I move approval of the Board of Education bills in the amount of $1,181 and bills and vouchers in the amount of $6,964,954.62.
Support.
Discussion? All that supporting documentation is also in your packet. All right, let's take a roll call, please.
Member Martinez?
Yes.
Member Weber?
Yes.
Member Browning?
Yes.
Member Kane?
Yes.
Member Kinney?
Yes.
Member Lo Cicero?
Yes.
President Circovich?
Yes. All right, bills are paid. Committee of the Whole discussion agenda. Our work session will be next week. We already kind of went over that, just a smidge, August 27th at 6:30. We're going to begin with the tour of buildings. So we're still meeting at the BOE?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep, we'll start there, and then we'll head out, begin our meeting.
okay. I don't know what's planned, but I don't think there's any hard work sites, but I do always encourage members to wear like closed-toe shoes. You never know what you're going to be walking in. A little bit of construction still as buildings finish up. And then we have a full agenda after that. So we'll be back at the Board of Ed. Okay, announcements. Dr. Anderson.
Just real quick, it's been an exciting week to see students again. One of my adjustments from being my years as a teacher and then as a building administrator is gets quiet around here in the summer. So our athletes started up their fall practices at the high school this last Monday. And I was able to make it out last week to base camp, where I saw our marching band students out at Columbier. Am I saying that right?
Columbia Center, yes.
Yep. So they were tired, but they were working hard, and looked like they were having a lot of fun too. So Mr. D'Angelo sharing with me that some of the younger staffers there kept him up until wee hours in the night. So he was, but he wouldn't have noticed if he didn't said it. But we're excited. Our teachers and our paraprofessionals, our staff come back next Wednesday, a week from tomorrow. And so we are excited to welcome them. Our new teachers are coming back on Tuesday. We have a full day with our new staff, kind of getting them acclimated to the area. And then we'll go on Labor Day recess, and then the day after is the start of school. So we're excited to kick off the 2024-2025 school year.
Awesome. Board members, announcements?
Make sure that you get to see the marching band show this year. It's called Coexist, and it's really going to be phenomenal. They've got some great music from 2001 Space Odyssey and Somebody to Love and a song from the movie Up. And just watch over your shoulder, because you'll never know when there's a little green man.
Very cool.
Oh, that's fun. And I always love to see the new show. And I always think about that someone's seen your show, right? That's what you're going out on. So
Yep.
Mark always does a great job bringing something fun for us to watch. So that'll be good. Well, we'll be under the lights before we know it. Any other board members' announcements? All right, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Support.
7:50, not bad.